Welcome to Accounting Life with Jotham Ty. Our guests today are Alyssa Perez, Senior Manager of Finance Transformation and M&A at Principal Consulting Group, and Ryan Volk, Managing Partner at Principal Consulting Group. In this episode, they discuss how AI and finance transformation are reshaping accounting workflows, the challenges firms face in modernization, and what the future holds for finance professionals. Now, our host, Jotham Ty.
Hey, Alyssa. Hey, Ryan. Welcome to the Accounting Life podcast. How are you folks doing?
Hi, Jotham. Doing good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
It's so great to have you both here today. One of the best episodes that perform really well from a viewership perspective are ones that cover one of two topics, either a founder story. So, Ryan, I know you founded the firm. I would love to dig into that. But finance transformation and AI are definitely hot topics in our profession these days. So I'm excited to drill down on both today. Ryan, I love founder stories. I'm a big sucker for them. I always love asking fellow founders like how they got involved and how they got started. So as a co-founder of PCG, what were you originally trying to solve for? Like what kind of problems, gaps were you looking to solve for? And I guess in our case, what kind of opportunity did you identify to address those?
I think my journey's been an exciting one and a mix of both professional growth and personal milestones. And I think in co-founding PCG, we initially set out to solve kind of a key gap that we noticed in the market, and that being kind of the need for finance, accounting, consulting firms that could really bridge the divide between technical accounting expertise and the power of technology-driven solutions. And we're seeing a lot more of those in this current day. And this focus resulted in us really bringing in data analytics expertise very early in our life cycle so that we could really provide a lot of these solutions. We saw many businesses struggling with inefficient processes, outdated systems, and lack of kind of insights, which was affecting their ability to kind of make informed financial decisions. Another big part of this was, not only delivering on these items, but ensuring, the quality deliverables while focusing on relationships and relationships with our clients. So you really understand the issues and the struggles, and relationships with our team, understanding their needs and how to help them grow in their careers. And I think this kind of opportunity was to create a firm that not only offered kind of the traditional accounting and finance advisory, but also focused on leveraging that data analytics, the automation, the engineering to create tailored and efficient solutions for our clients. And our goal was to deliver kind of that high quality service that drove both cost savings and improved financial reporting, integrity in numbers. And we just, we want to be that trusted partner for companies and clients looking to streamline those operations and maintaining those standards in financial reporting and compliance.
Ryan, I can definitely relate to that because prior to Gapify, I think you folks know that I started my own small consulting firm many years ago. I think traditionally you just look at like technical expertise and kind of forget about everything else, such as technology and data. And it sounds like your firm has been able to triangulate all three expertise properly to provide the services that you do for your clients, which I think obviously now in the day and age that we're in, super critical. So it's interesting to hear you talk about that. So you're not just a traditional services firm, you've got expertise in technology, know the importance of data. So it sounds like it's differentiated, and it doesn't surprise me why you guys do well because of that. Ryan, just sticking to that, and before we talk more about finance transformation in a bit, as a co-founder, what lessons have you learned? All of us have like lessons that we think about as we go further along, but what kind of lessons did you learn that you wish you knew when you started?
There's been a lot of learning opportunities, I'd say, and challenges as we've built the firm and started this over 5 years ago. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is the importance of kind of flexibility and adaptability. when we started, we had kind of a clear vision, well, as clear as it could be. But I've come to realize that being able to pivot and adjust to market changes, client needs, and even internal dynamics has been crucial to kind of our success and will be for our long-term success. I wish I'd known just how much agility would play a role in scaling the business. I think this has also added to our strengths and kind of our ability to diagnose issues and realize meaningful solutions and outcomes and kind of just figure things out, right? Another key lesson has been the value in kind of building a strong, diverse team early on. I talked about bringing in that data analytics that was diverse from what we'd known and did. While technical skills are important, I think having a team with varied perspective and experiences can really drive a lot of innovation and create more resilient business. And lastly, I've come to appreciate the significance of kind of balancing kind of long-term growth and goals with short-term wins. I think it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day operations and working in the business, as we like to say, but kind of keeping an eye on the bigger picture is essential for sustained growth and kind of keeping that working on the business as well.
That's right. And I think for us accountants, I think we lose sight of that sometimes. And I have to remind myself as a founder too, you got to look at the long-term vision and guide there. It's not about just the short-term results. So, all those points definitely resonate with me, Ryan.
Yeah.
Switching gears now, and Alyssa, maybe going to you first. Definitely want to understand like how you drive financial transformation for your clients. Like, how do you get started? What are the first steps? Yeah, if you wouldn't mind tackling that.
Yeah, happy to. And obviously it's going to depend on the client, but I'm kind of happy to go into a little bit of the playbook that we use. So step zero, like finance transformation isn't just going to impact finance. Like there will be tentacles outside of finance. And so number one in step zero, ensure that buy-in from the rest of the organization. So like key stakeholders from operations, engineering, sales, like people who are going to either like need to be aware or even make decisions as part of this change. And then step one from there is talk to the finance leader, understand like what's their source of like their biggest heartburn, their biggest priorities. Are customers not getting invoices? And if they are they wrong? Are vendors threatening to shut off services, things like that. And then from there in step two, that's where you really try to understand current state. And this is when you bring in the people who are actually doing the work and can speak to those pain points. So like from here, I like to go into a series of process deep dives where like really what we cover, I think, is more like a convergence of like people, tech, and process. And if you've done transformations, like this isn't going to be new, but especially more than ever, like technology is such an incredible factor in this deep dive. And so I do like to think of it as a pyramid, and we start at the bottom, understanding their data, the sources of data. What is their ERP? Like, do they have a CRM? Is the data pretty clean? Do they trust it? Or is it pretty messy and they can't trust anything? Or is it a mix of that? And then the second layer of that pyramid, like the two processes that we then kind of tend to move towards is like order to cash and procure to pay. So like AP and AR in the business. And I at least like to walk through like step-by-step activities, but highlighting especially the people variable. So like dig into the cross-functional stuff, like where are their handoffs? Where is the required communication, between sales for order to cash and invoicing, or even department heads and managers for like AP and expenses? And are there gaps? Like, are there disconnects there that we need to address? And especially like there are some questions you can ask, like, for example, how is finance made aware of a new contract or a new client? Is that standard, or is it kind of ad hoc? Is it, got to send them an email, and you send off that email? And sometimes that can lead to problems. Or how is finance made aware of a new vendor? Just those types of questions. And then of course you have to look into that tech variables. Like what tools are they using and how, and do they think it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down? And then the third layer in that pyramid, so from there is when you dig into that close process, and you kind of go through the same deep dive as we did with like AP and AR. So, those are the process that we would focus on and address in like what we would call phase one of a transformation. And once we have those kind of down, then that's when you start focusing on like more of those FP&A processes, because the cleanup is really going to do wonders on creating an FP&A process and organization that's going to really support the business and partner with the business. And so that tends to be the order of operations that we like to follow, but it isn't to say that you can't do these things in parallel. Of course, if you have a larger team who can do it. And then step 4, before you really go into redesigning processes, is I like to take a step back and dig a little bit further into the tech in a very specific way to see if there's an opportunity for some quick wins there. So is there an opportunity to actually optimize the technology they're currently using? I feel like typically we're quick to be like, this isn't working, let's find what else is out there. But let's take a step back. What do you currently have? Perhaps there's features that this tool or this platform has that aren't turned on, that you could use. Or perhaps it's a good tool, but the team isn't trained. So like, what can we do to make sure that they're trained up and ready to use this? But if at the end of the day, like, there are tools that are changing so fast, and so it's understandable that maybe the leaders or participants of these organizations just aren't aware that this feature is now available in this tool, because product roadmaps go from idea to execution so fast, from months or weeks, even to the point where I've seen some AEs at some great brands just unable to keep up, like unaware. Oh, this is actually live. I had no idea. So if they can't keep up, it's going to be even harder for us, that we try to do what we can. And then it's also, if they really do need better tools, then you can be there to offer advice on what could work best for their business, for their industry, for their future growth. And especially for mid-sized businesses and small businesses, there's so much out there that it can become paralyzing for leaders to know what to choose. And so that's why we do our work to stay up to date on the latest tools, updates, features, and things like that. And I think you hear a lot in finance transformation conversations that you can't automate a bad process. And it's essentially to say that, I don't want to implement technology until I get the activities and the process down. But I mean, it's a little bit of a hot take, but I don't think that's the way to see this anymore. So I think if you can incorporate automation and AI into the process, that's where you should be focusing your time and effort on, because if you're not using automation and AI, your process probably isn't great. And at least for me, like, that's how we try to approach it before we actually go into like the redesign and implementation phase, and helping them solve their biggest problems.
Touched on AI, and we'll definitely double click into that in a minute, but it sounds like you've got a pretty strong framework in mind. One thing that I took away, and I'm taking away so far in our first few minutes recording this, is an emphasis on people. So Ryan, you touched earlier on kind of diverse expertise and just thinking about building the team that way. Listen, one of the first things that you said was just getting stakeholder involvement, right? I think a lot of our projects sometimes at Gapify, when we implement our accrual management solution, if you just pull in people out of nowhere and expect them to comply with any kind of change, it's harder to get that buy-in. So yeah, it sounds like a lot of the things that you folks have talked about so far are grounded on people. And I think that's just refreshing, right? Because when automation and AI is doing what it's supposed to do, like, that's where we people shine. So having that people-centric approach to me was one of my takeaways there. But certainly beyond that, like the tooling assessment that you described, the strategic way you're thinking about doing it for your clients, like all good stuff and pretty important to the success of financial transformation.
I did want to say something, because you mentioned, people-centric, especially during this day and age where people are very tech-centric. I think they can go hand in hand. And I think actually people want to use the latest tools. Like, they want to know what's out there and use AI. I don't think most people are scared of it. They're like, wait, how can I build my own skill set within my organization? I feel like it's such a game changer when organizations offer these tools where their people can learn a whole new set of skills. And I think that's also kind of centric to the approach as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good point. And I did have a chat with the CEO yesterday in the accounting space. And the way we look at how AI and automation can be leveraged is, like, from the perspective of, if we can do all that manual stuff that no accountant likes doing, rolling forward a spreadsheet and so on, it'll make accounting fun again. So yeah, I thought of that conversation yesterday as you brought that up. Ryan, I want to come back to you. I would love to ask, and of course, this is important to cover from the opposite spectrum. from a standpoint of challenges, like what kind of when clients are like having challenges embracing financial transformation, how do you help them overcome these bumps in the road?
Yeah. Um, Kind of ties into the conversation that Alyssa was just talking about, but I think, a lot of it comes down to really understanding, and there's a reason, the client's called you, there's the reason they've contacted you, but understanding what keeps them up at night. What do they believe they're spending too much time doing? And throughout this process, collaboration, communication, setting clear expectations is critical. And I think some of the most common challenges for our clients is the fact that they just don't have bandwidth or the necessary skill set in house to tackle certain projects. With that, though, I'd say most common challenges revolve around transactions, but also around inefficient processes, lack of visibility into some of their financial data, and disparate systems. Many companies kind of struggle with these manual tasks that consume valuable time and result in the integrity of data for reporting and decision making. And listen, we want to get our accountants back to the value-based stuff that they can be doing and not kind of the tedious stuff that they spend too much time on. And so going back to some of those first questions, we help by first understanding kind of the specific pain points and goals, then introducing kind of automation and process improvements to reduce workloads and improve accuracy and kind of free up those resources for those higher value tasks. And our approach is very tailored to the client's unique situation, whether those entails recommending, a certain tool, changing a process, building an in-house solution, whatnot. And I'll say this real quick, but our team takes a lot of pride at kind of being in the know on current technology trends and cutting edge software out there in the market as it pertains to accounting and finance. And this really provides us with a lot of ability to kind of interact with quite a few different solutions. And we take very seriously those solutions that we include in our recommendations, because at the end of the day, if we propose a solution or a technology that doesn't meet the needs of our clients, it blows back on us.
Yeah, well, and Ryan, being in the accounting software space myself and kind of seeing it evolve over the years, I'd say 15, 20 years ago, there's probably limited advancements that were happening in just accounting technology. But these days, that's obviously changed. And so, as a trusted partner for clients looking to grow and make positive changes to their organizations, just being aware and familiar with the different things that are going on, it's so critical to have as options for your clients to succeed. So I'll pose a question to either of you, and feel free to jump in. Say, for instance, there's a new technology available in the market. What considerations are most critical to highlight when you're proposing like that newer technology to your client?
For me, the most important thing to know first before understanding to understand the requirements before going out and recommending and even doing additional digging is what's the business's kind of growth plan for the next 2 to 5 years, both headcount, revenue, global, do they want to expand, are they just one entity now, hope to be multi-entity in the future? Because we don't want to recommend something today that's just not going to be able to scale with them. And so that's something that's really critical for me to understand on the front end. Of course, price is always going to be a critical variable for some clients. So understanding the pricing structure, is it per user, which obviously as you grow as a company is going to grow, or is it fixed? And so it's something you can plan for just like a little bit better. And at least for me, I do like to note the client. I think if I trust a tool enough, or it seems like a really great fit, but it is a newer tool, say it's been around for 3-4 years, but if it has really good backing, it's still something we'll recommend, but it's something we'll add like as a note or a caveat, is like, this could be a good option, however, they are newer. And because there is a risk with a newer software, right? I mean, they could easily either go bankrupt or they could be acquired and it's no longer the product that they bought at the beginning of that contract. So those, at least for me, are pretty big things that I like to consider. But more and more of our clients, even if they are, earlier stage or mid stage, they tend to start off being global pretty early on. And so that's becoming more and more of a requirement is, can I handle international payments? Can we create an entity internationally within this platform? Things like that.
It sounds so logical, right? That you would first ask your client, like, what are your objectives with this new tool? Is it to grow multinational and support like different payment types? But I mean, I think I've been on the ground before, so I know a lot of times we forget to ask that question. We are just like dying so badly from one month end close to another that we want to just pick up the next tool that looks good. But
Yeah.
being strategic about it, like, what's your objective 3 or 5 years from now? And finding the right solution that fits that need is very sensible. But I think it's great that you're reminding our audience that that's a process you have to go through, because I know it's very tough for us accounting leaders to keep that in mind sometimes.
Yeah. So as long as you have like those important requirements on the front end, it'll certainly make the search just that much easier.
Absolutely. Alyssa, Ryan, I cannot let you go and leave this podcast without talking about AI. So, Ryan, let's start with you here. How has AI changed your role and your consulting transformation strategy?
I think AI it's caused us to continue to, grow, evolve, see how we can streamline not only our clients' processes, but our internal processes as well.
Yeah.
It helps us deliver more value to our clients. Much of the work in the past involved a lot of manual data analysis, reporting. AI can now automate a lot of these tasks. Allows us to focus on more strategic initiatives, which I think all of us want to get to, more critical thinking tasks, and complete these tasks in a fraction of the time that it used to take. This allows us to really provide a lot of insights and recommendations faster and more efficiently to our clients. I think, incorporating AI into kind of our day-to-day, my day-to-day, and I'd probably call it AI and process automation. Not all process automation is necessarily considered AI, but anyways, using AI and solutions to automate tasks like data extraction, reporting, forecasting, comparable company analysis, technical accounting guidance research, etc. I think we use it in various ways day to day, and it really allows us to kind of optimize the efficiency while delivering kind of customized solutions tailored to our clients' needs. And I think AI is changing the way we do things, and if we don't incorporate it into our strategy and day to day, we'll be doing a disservice to ourselves and our clients.
And I'll also add to that because I feel like there's been a mandate for CFOs everywhere to use more AI or AI-driven tools. And I think the easiest way to do that without having your own in-house team or, developing your own agents, your own in-house automation, like there are so many tools out there like Gapify that have AI already embedded within the tool. And so it's something that's outsourced. It's an outsourced to a company who has the R&D team to be able to get the most out of that implementation of AI within their product. And it has amazing benefits for the end user, for ourselves. And so anyone looking to use AI, that's just the quickest way to use it. But at least for me, every day, I think I'm using generative AI, ChatGPT, Cloud, Copilot every day, whether it's to help put presentations together, analyze, Excel and data. It's part of it, and I'm still playing around with it. And every day I feel like there is something new, and it's exhausting but exhilarating at the same time to learn about it. And there's certainly people who I follow who I think have great insights. But I also am at the point now too where I'm starting to dig in a little bit more into like AI agents, because when I first heard them come up a lot, it was a bit reminiscent of like RPA bots from like 10 years ago. And that was the solution that was going to change your lives. And it became a huge headache and, very costly to maintain. So at first I was a bit weary, but now I am starting to dig into that more just because I do hear good feedback. And so that's at least something that's like on my list, for the next month or so to dig into more now that there's more resources. But there's so much out there. And so I understand how it can be overwhelming. But as long as you find really great experts in this space to follow and who are willing to teach and have resources and things like that, I feel like it can be pretty a little bit easier to kind of sift through all the noise.
Yeah, and one of the best advice I got from one of our investors who used to be one of the in the exec team at Google, he just said, try it, like just go for it. Like, don't try to create like a program. With ChatGPT, that was a year ago. And Alyssa, like the expressions that you used, I think earlier about just like, it's so exciting. Like I'm like consuming a lot of my time on it. But I mean, I think there aren't that many phases, and I'm going to sound like an oldie now. There haven't been too many phases in my life where like technology, like this prominent and game changing has like been introduced. So it should be a fun time to just like explore and discover what AI can do. And yeah, the good news is like from a finance and accounting transformation perspective, it is a pretty serious and effective tool to have in the bag for closing the books faster or running the business more efficiently. And so, I know we just talked about AI for a few minutes here. I'd love to have the both of you back to maybe double click into that next time. But we do have to wrap up. And Alyssa, I can't also let you go, not only with the AI question as hostage, but also someone in the grapevine here at Gapify mentioned that you're an Aggie, so you went to Texas A&M and may have overlapped with a popular quarterback. So who is he? And tell us more.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel. Gosh, I wish I would have known how epic of a moment I was living in when I was in it. It was so much fun. I mean, game days were electric. Even the weeks leading up to a game day, it was pure, unequivocal entertainment. And I did not grow up an Aggie football fan. I actually wanted to go to UT, be a Longhorn. However, I got a great scholarship to go to Texas A&M and not to go to UT. And so this was a great way to immediately become a Texas A&M football fan. So those are the good days. It was the days when you were standing on game day for 10 hours and you didn't care because it was just that exciting. So it was a fun time to be alive and in College Station, Texas. Yeah.
No, Ryan, you and I are from the Bay Area. It sounds like college football just around the country is a good time. And I got to experience it sometime. I got to admit, I don't think I've been to a college football game. So yeah, hopefully I experience that someday, Alyssa.
100%, yes. Especially, I would highly recommend Texas A&M versus UT Longhorn football game. It happens like the week of Thanksgiving. They're the biggest rivals in Texas, whether or not UT Longhorns believe that, but biggest rivals, and they used to have an annual game that happened Thanksgiving week every single year, and that stopped when Texas A&M moved to SEC. And so now they're back on, and it was so exciting. The first year was this past year, and it was a lot of fun. So highly recommend that game.
And one last follow-up on that, Alyssa. If someone goes up to you and says, "Hook 'em," what do you say?
I mean, I'm not like your typical Aggies to like boo them or anything, but I'll just probably say gig them, like back at them. So, so I have a ton of friends who are Longhorns, so it's all good fun.
Same here. I know a few clients, which is how I know that, by the way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alyssa, Ryan, thank you so much for joining our podcast today. I would love to have both of you back for that AI drill down someday, but thanks again for doing this and hope to have you back soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's nice being here.
Thanks for stopping by. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want more information, please check us out at gapify.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.